Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody's having a fabulous day today. This is going to be a longer than usual video. We have a lot to cover. Yes, I'm aware of the Earthshot Prize. That'll be the next video. Let's jump in, shall we? Let's go. We are going to start off this morning with Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh, because she is in Canada for a 5-day trip. So first thing she did was visit barracks as part of the trip. She was greeted Army personnel at the Lake Street Armory Military Barracks in St. Catharines. She was there as part of the Duchess of Edinburgh competition, which was hosted by the Lincoln and Welland Regiment. Looks like she's happy with her shot there. Anyway, every year where this is held and the different challenges change. So what this competition does is it tests physical and mental strength through some different tasks. For those of you who may not be aware, this is actually the very first time that this competition is in Canada, and it's being hosted, like I said, by the Lincoln and Welland Regiment. Very nice. Sophie is the honorary colonel-in-chief. This entire competition started back in 2012 when Sophie brought together affiliated units to compete in various military skills. Love it. Now, again, this may not be in correct order. She next went to a ice wine tasting session at a Canadian vineyard. Very interesting. She arrived wearing a military-style jacket, and of course she had her poppy in there. Ooh, I hope I say this right. She was at the Enniskillen Winery, there you go, in Niagara-on-the-Lake, Southern Ontario. Very interesting. They lined up. First, they took her on a tour, of course, and showed her how they make the wine. Then they lined up the different glasses for her to, I guess you're supposed to sniff them. Then you swirl it to see how it holds up against the sides of the glasses. This is, what it says. And then you're only supposed to take the smallest of sips. This is why I am not a professional wine taster. That's all I can say about that. She does look like she's having a really good time, though. Good for her. I really, really like her. And, as usual, a big thank you to Remoulade Sauce for all the information on what she was wearing. Now, that evening, Sophie attended a dinner that was in support of the Lincoln and Welland Regimental Foundation, and guests got a special performance by their association band. And the lady over her left shoulder that you see there in the blue and who you're about to see again is Elizabeth Dowdenswell, who is the Lieutenant Governor of Ontario. Thank you to Remoulade Sauce for once again showing us what she was wearing. Moving on. Let's move on now to Princess Anne, the Princess Royal. She raised some eyebrows because she went on a visit and she drove herself. Unbelievable. Anyway, she showed up to visit the Citizens Advice Bureau in Malvern. She was celebrating with staff, for some of them had a lot of years of service. She looked very nice in her outfit. She unveiled a plaque for the honored employees. She then got presented some flowers. Very nice. By the way, for those of you who recognize this, Anne wore this outfit last year when she was with King Charles at the Highland Gathering in Scotland. Yep. It just shocks me that she can still wear outfits from how many years ago? All right, moving on. Let's talk about Edward the Duke. He went to an event at St. James Palace. He was part of a panel and a program that talked about prison reform and the St. Piccadilly Changemakers program. Very nice. Next up, still sticking with Edward, he went and opened a new school that is specifically for children with learning disabilities and autism. It is a school for Jewish students. He visited the pupils, he watched a musical performance. These are children ages 4 through 19. The school is supposed to be one of the most advanced of its kind, they're saying, and it has stimulation rooms, a kitchen, hydrotherapy pools, all kinds of interesting things that the other schools didn't have. If you're visually impaired, they've increased the lettering of the Torah so that it could be read easier. Just things that you do to help with people who are at a disadvantage, whatever that disadvantage may be. I think it's lovely that they have these schools, whatever your religion is. They should have special schools. You guys know, as the mother of an autistic child, these schools are invaluable, no matter what your religion. Moving on. All right, turning to Harry and Meghan, articles are coming out saying that they just try too hard and the public isn't buying it. That you guys, they have a history of whenever the royal family's doing something, they hold back their information and release it because they want to try to rival them. It looks like the trick-or-treating picture, it appears, was from last year. And I don't know, maybe they weren't separated last year, but that doesn't even look like Meghan in the picture to me. That looks like Doria. But people know what they're doing and they're over it. It's like, go find your own voice, go find your own path, you know? And here is a perfect example. Prince William has landed for the Earthshot Prize. By the way, we're going to cover that in the next video, okay? So what do? They pop up at yet another outing with no children in Las Vegas. Yes, they have left their children home alone again while they go watch Katy Perry. Now, first of all, as part of their name dropping, they're claiming that they were joined in the VIP section by Celine Dion, basically insinuating they were together. They were not. They even say they arrived separately. You can also see in this section that Celine Dion was not sitting with them. But what you can also see is that Harry's hair plugs did not work. No way. Now, we know that Katy Perry performed for King Charles at the coronation concert, and we know that she made some pretty critical remarks about Meghan's wedding dress. Lots of people have, because it didn't fit her well. It was wrinkled. It didn't look good on her. It wasn't a good style for her. She had so many styles she could have chosen from. Rumor is she kept changing her mind on the dress, and that's why it ended up the way it was. Anyway, Katy Perry apparently was very critical of the dress, and Meghan didn't like that. But somehow now they've shown up at one of her concerts. I mean, guys, I don't know what to say. This is more of, we need to counter what's going on, and we don't have anything in the hopper. So let's go out once again without the kids and show our faces. That's all this is. Now, there is one other thing. We know that when they went to New York, there were no crowds, and one person on the street, I showed you that in a video, one person on the street booed them. The one person who saw them in the car and recognized them booed them. I wonder if Meghan wants to go to these concerts because these are other concert goers, and so they're people that have to be there and are going to see them. Notice nobody's rushing up. They've got their phones out, but I think she might do this for her ego. All right, let's move on to Omid Scobie now, Harry and Meghan's little biographer friend. He put out an article where he criticized the decision from the people in Kenya to put red carpet out over the ground, which he said made them look out of touch. He said it made them look ridiculous. So this was after Catherine and William went and toured the Caribbean, and they put out these pictures, and that didn't look good, but they were taken at a certain angle. And so Omid, who once again criticized the whales, treated that the optics for this red carpet were no good. These, by the way, are the pictures from Catherine and William. They were playing soccer with a famous soccer player, and they went over to shake hands with people through the fence. Then they went over to the other side and shook hands with people on the other side of the fence. But then you had the famous soccer player doing the same thing, and nobody said a word. Anyway, here's Omid's post, because what he said was that Palace aides could have and should have stopped it, that the picture looked bad. So I agree with Meghan's mole. He doesn't complain unless the king and queen are doing it, because there's plenty of other optics that we could look at. Let's take a look. So I agree with Richard Eden. Omid wants the king and queen to dictate to the African hosts about how they were greeted. And if he had asked for the carpet to be taken up, he would have complained about that too. So what is really going on here? What's going on is Harry and Meghan are back to pushing the narrative about there being a racist in the family, okay? And Scobie and Chris Shipp from ITV are just pushing the narrative, as is Jack Royston. Jack Royston said Camilla was uncomfortable when she put this shawl on, when she's uncomfortable around black people. So Harry, Meghan, and even Omid can't even get their lies straight. So here's a little refresher for you. Here's a reminder of some of the things that were said during the Oprah show.
You have the first member of color in this family not being titled in the same way that other grandchildren would be.
And what I was seeing was history repeating itself, but more perhaps, or definitely far more dangerous, because then you add race in. Where?
Racism, really. I mean, it changed the risk level. Growing up as a woman of color, as a little girl of color, I know how important representation is. And if a member of his family will comfortably say, we've all had to deal with things that are rude. Rude and racist are not the same.
Conversation with you?
With Harry.
About how dark your baby is going to be?
Potentially, and what that would mean or look like.
Ooh.
Because this was different,
It's different because of the race.
And the specifics around her race?
That if he were too brown, that would be a problem. Are you saying that?
I wasn't able to follow up with why, but if that's the assumption you're making, I think that feels like a pretty safe one.
Now, realizing that he probably went too far, he then went on the ITV interview and tried to backtrack. Remember this?
In the Oprah interview, you accuse members of your family of racism. You don't even...
No, we didn't.
Well,
the British press said that.
Right.
Did Meghan ever mention that they were racist?
She said there were troubling comments about
there was concern about his skin colour.
Right. Wouldn't you describe that as essentially racist?
I wouldn't.
These two were caught lying. They get caught lying all the time, but even during the Oprah show, they contradicted themselves, okay? Listen to this.
I went to all the places which I thought I should go to ask for help. We both did, separately and together.
So you left because you were asking for help and couldn't get it?
Yeah, basically.
So he claims that he and Meghan went together and separate to all the places you should go. Well, where should you go? You should go to family. But then he said this.
Did you tell other people in the family, I need to get help for her, we need help for her?
That's just not a conversation that would be had.
Wow.
I guess I was ashamed of admitting it to them.
Now, we're going to continue on with more lies, but do you guys remember I've told you repeatedly that if they had gotten their way, they wouldn't have claimed racism? Let me remind you what Meghan said.
We never left the family, and we only wanted to have the same type of role that exists, right? There's senior members of the family, and then there are non-senior members. As we said specifically, we're stepping back from senior roles to be just like several, I can think of so many right now who are all their royal highnesses, prince or princess, duke or duchess, who earn a living, live on palace grounds, can support the queen if and when called upon. So we weren't reinventing the wheel here.
So they were still going to get, because they were senior royals, what they wanted was the security, the clothing. They would have kept all of that. They would have kept the money coming in, and they would have made millions upon millions off of Sussex Royal. And that's when the queen said no. Now, since I brought up the ITV interview, let me remind you of another lie that was told. Do you guys remember this?
And then William was longing to meet her, and so was Catherine. So, they're being our neighbours. We managed to get that in quite a few times now. And Catherine's been absolutely
wonderful,
amazing, as is William as well. Fantastic support.
Only to have Harry now claim this during the ITV interview.
There was a lot of stereotyping that was happening, and some of the things that my brother and sister-in-law, some of the way that they were acting or behaving, definitely felt to me as though, unfortunately, that stereotyping was causing a bit of a barrier.
And then, of course, This is just an example, another lie. Meghan did the op-ed where she talked about her miscarriage, and she said she was changing Archie's diaper, she had a sudden cramp, she fell to the floor, humming a lullaby to keep her and Archie from panicking, and she knew as she was clutching her first child, she was losing her second one. This, of course, is completely different from the story she told on Netflix, where she had a friend coming over, she was holding Archie, she suddenly had a cramp and fell to the floor holding Archie, which is completely different from the story that Harry told in The Spare. She woke up in the morning, said she was having abdominal pain, began bleeding, and then she collapsed to the floor. So the only thing that's the same in all three versions is that she collapsed to the floor. So I guess my point is, you guys, they lied so much during the Oprah show, they realized they went too far. Now, Charles was king. There was going to be a coronation. And so Harry starts talking about, all these. Just listen.
I would like to get my father back. I would like to have my brother back.
Do you still believe in the monarchy?
Yes. I love my father. I love my brother. I love my family. I will always do. Nothing of what I've done in this book or otherwise has ever been any intention to harm them.
And that's where I think Harry is a little bit delusional, because after everything he did, he said he didn't do it to harm them. Really? And just to show you that he takes no responsibility really for anything, listen to the answers he gives to these next two questions.
Wouldn't your brother say to you, Harry, how could you do this to me? After everything we went through, wouldn't that be what he would say?
He'd probably say all sorts of different things.
Some people will say, you have railed against invasions of your privacy all your life. But the accusation will be, here are you invading the privacy of your most nearest and dearest without permission. That'll be the accusation.
That would be the accusation from the people that don't understand or don't want to believe that my family have been briefing the press.
So on the one hand, he says, I didn't do it to hurt them. And on the other hand, he says, yeah, I did it because you guys just don't believe that my family is leaking things to the press. All right, one more clip. I want you to listen very carefully to what he says. Here we go.
Press, those certain members have decided to get into bed with the devil, right? To rehabilitate their image.
Yeah.
If you need to do that, or you want to do that, or you choose to do that, well, that is a choice. That's up to you. But the moment that rehabilitation comes at the detriment of others, me, other members of my family, then that's where I draw the line.
Did you guys catch that? They're in bed with the devil. Says the man who signed up with Netflix, who's doing The Crown, who did Diana the musical that made his mother look like a narcoleptic crazy woman. The hypocrisy is just astounding. So my entire point, guys, is they tried to backtrack on the racism thing as soon as Charles became king, and it made no difference. Harry has not been able to get back in with his family. They're not giving him money. They're not speaking to him. So now they've started attacking again. That's the whole point. All right, you guys, you know what I want. Put those comments down. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you've already hit the button, double check. Make sure you're still subscribed. If you've donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. I have not yet had my meeting. I'll let you know the second I do. Have a great day.